Ever since the Port Arthur massacre, gun control is an issue that's inflamed public debate across Australia. In the wake of that tragedy, tough new gun controls were introduced, but in the years since, anti-gun activists say the laws have been slowly whittled away due to a concerted campaign by an increasingly powerful shooters lobby. Now, anti-gun campaigners are calling for a new crackdown after a series of deaths at shooting clubs and ranges where amateur shooters have turned the guns on themselves or stolen guns and used them to kill others. There have been at least 8 suicides at shooting ranges in recent years, and grieving families say enough is enough, as Lorna Knowles reports.
Gabby and Gabimolnar were married for 20 years. They'd planned a long and happy life together.
He was such a lively person. He was always on the go, 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 go. From the time the sun came up, he always liked to sleep with the curtain open so that the sun would shine on his face when he woke up in the morning.
The couple was so close, he had a special nickname for his wife.
He used to call me 50 because I was 50% of him.
But in May 2013, the couple got some devastating news. Gabby was diagnosed with cancer and given 6 months to live.
And there were tears pouring down his face. I never saw my husband cry. Never cried. He wanted to live so much, yet he was such a lively person.
But he was adamant he wouldn't have chemotherapy, and the cancer spread. 4 months after his diagnosis, Gabby told Shireen he was going to play table tennis. He never came home.
It was about 8:10 that evening, and the buzzer rang. I opened that door and I just waited there, and I saw the police coming up the stairs, and I looked, there were 2 policemen, and I looked beyond them looking for, I said, "Where is he?" I said, "Why isn't he with you?" And then I stopped the policeman from entering the house. I put my hand on his chest. And these words, nobody should hear these words. He said, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Molnar, your husband committed suicide today."
Gabimolnar had gone to the Condell Park firing range in Sydney and signed up for a beginner's shooting session. When the supervisor wasn't watching, he turned the gun on himself.
My husband used to call me the love of my life. The love of my life. What did you do?
As she grieves for her husband, she struggles to understand how he could walk into a firing range without a gun licence and get almost immediate access to a loaded weapon.
I'm very angry. I'm angry with the system that has let me down and let, there are others who sort of chose this way of dying and chose firing range.
Around Australia, there have been 8 suicides at firing ranges since 2002. 2 in South Australia, 2 in Western Australia and 2 in Queensland. There have also been 2 suicides in New South Wales, as well as a siege and a homicide, both committed with guns stolen from firing ranges.
Shooting in a pistol club requires a person to just answer correctly to a series of questions. So it's a self-screening process, but those answers are never checked. And it's very easy for somebody to deceive a club, and potentially a lot of people are in danger because of that.
In her spare time, Sydney barrister Michelle Fernando petitions for tighter gun controls in Australia. It's a very personal campaign.
This is a petition that I am asking people to sign.
4 years ago, her family was shattered by the sudden and violent death of her father, who was killed with a gun stolen from a shooting range.
My sister was suffering from schizophrenia, a very acute period of unwellness. And at about that time, she started shooting casually at the Sydney Pistol Club. And she hadn't disclosed that she suffered from a mental illness. And in fact, she was very mentally ill at the time. And on the 22nd of August, she was presented with an opportunity to walk out of that club with a pistol she'd been lent. And later that afternoon, she shot and killed my father.
Michelle's sister was found not guilty of murder on the grounds of mental illness.
I'm so saddened and quite outraged that there has been further deaths and violence committed with firearms by people who just shouldn't have been given access to firearms.
The Sydney International Shooting Centre is a world-class Olympic facility where the guns are tethered and new shooters get one-on-one supervision.
If someone's intent on hurting themselves, there's not a lot you can do. It's just what it is.
In June 2012, a woman with postnatal depression came to this centre. She'd asked her mother to look after her 2 children so she could go shopping. Instead, she signed up to try shooting and used the gun to take her own life.
Look, it was a very unfortunate incident. We treat shooting as a very safe sport, and I've been around shooting for 27 years, and you don't see incidents. And it was shocking, it was upsetting, and it was upsetting for the staff and the people that were here on the day. There is no doubt about that.
It was here 3 years ago that a young woman with postnatal depression took her own life. Staff say that 8,000 people have taken part in the Try Shooting program without incident, and that the suicide was an isolated tragedy that couldn't have been prevented. In most states, beginners can fire weapons while unlicensed under shooting programs designed to attract newcomers to the sport. In New South Wales, unlicensed shooters just need to fill out a form declaring they have no criminal history or suffer from a mental illness. Gabimolnar believes no one should be given access to a gun without a prior police check.
Don't let another person do this. Don't give them an opportunity to do this. I want something to be done.
18 months after her husband's suicide, Gabimolnar is waiting to meet Michelle Fernando, a woman she feels deeply connected to.
So good to see you. It's good to see you. I'm really sorry that we're meeting because of our tragedies. But we're going to do something about it, aren't we?
It's an intensely emotional time for the women, united by a shared cause.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You know, after a few months of Gabby passing away, I needed to get out of home. Does the pain ever decrease, or is it just a memory now with your dad?
Oh, I wish I could tell you that the pain decreases, but I've gotten used to living with it.
The pair make plans to stay in touch and lobby together for changes to gun laws around the country.
Put a system in place so that the police can verify if this person has a mental illness, if he is safe to go into a firing range. Do something.
Lorna Knowles reporting, and if you need help you can call